Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to hour number 2 of the American Scene program. Good to have you here with us. Gerald Celente is here from the Trends Research Institute and the Trends Journal. He's got part 1 of a very special 2-part report on what? On the first great war of the 21st century. Don't miss that. He's coming up in just a moment. Also, Federico Pignatelli will be here from BioLays. Stephanie Vittori representing gold down in Mexico with Gold Group. And Neil McMillan will be here from Claude Resources, one of our all-time favorite gold companies. It all begins right now live with Gerald Celente and Future Trends.
Steve Crowley's American Scene.
Well, you know by now, folks, he's one of my friends and favorite guests on this program. He is Gerald Celente, heads up the Trends Research Institute. The TrendsJournal, of course, has been out there for years. It is now a full-fledged magazine that really tells you what's going on truthfully around the world. It's apolitical, so it doesn't speak from a conservative or liberal point of view. It's right down the middle, apolitical, tells you just the truth of what's really going on. And Gerald's joining us on our live line today. It's good to have you back, Gerald. Welcome.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Steve.
Now, you sent me this article here, Libya, Death to America, by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts. He actually worked in the Reagan administration?
Yes, he was the former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Reagan, and his ranking was so high that he could call in the director of the CIA and question him under oath. So Dr. Roberts has been around. He knows what it looks like.
Wow. Well, this is powerful stuff, because when I read the first paragraph, it says, for 11 years now, we've been sending in troops, bombers, jet fighters, helicopter gunships, now, of course, drones. You've seen that's the latest technology. Assassination teams into 7 Muslim countries. 2 of the countries, Iraq and Libya, and perhaps more, depending on how you see it, he writes, have been overthrown by Washington and the left in chaos. And I want to read this next part, just word for word here, what Dr. Roberts writes about here. He says, Washington's assaults on 7 countries have blown up weddings, funerals, kids' soccer games, farmhouses, hospitals, AIDS workers, schools, people walking down the street, village elders, but the Muslims don't mind. They understand that those well-meaning Americans who love them and are committed to their human rights are bringing them democracy and women's rights. Wow.
I mean, really, you know, he's not making this up. You read the news. Oh, yeah, we're really sorry we blew up those people that were collecting firewood. Oh, yeah, we'll make sure it doesn't happen until the next time. What happened in Libya, let's suppose the tables were turned.
Yeah.
First of all, Gaddafi wasn't threatening the United States, and from the WikiLeaks wires that were coming through the embassies, he was actually working very closely with the United States. So, my line was that if they weren't sitting on some of the most precious sweet crude oil in the world and large deposits of it, would the United States have been there? Would they have been in Iraq if their major export was broccoli and they weren't sitting on the second largest oil reserves in the world? And let's suppose the tables were turned. Suppose an outside force, we're going to call it the BRIC Coalition, and they decided to attack, invade, and destroy America on the pretext of ridding the country of the Washington tyrants that have robbed the people of their constitutional rights, enriched the already rich 1% at the expense of the 99%, and who started wars for false reasons and sacrificed the lives and limbs of our troops. Suppose that were to happen.
Right.
Would the Americans who rose up to oppose these invaders be vilified as militants or extremists? Or would they be considered resistance fighters and revered as patriots and martyrs?
Right. No, I get you. See, when Obama came in, and I want to get from you sometime today and tomorrow, because this is going to be 2 parts with you. I want to get, you're the Trends Research Institute, so you have to tell us at least where this is all heading. What's the trend of this? What's the ultimate bad result of all this? Because it doesn't seem like it's going to get better anytime soon.
Well, the result is what we wrote in the TrendsJournal. The first great war of the 21st century has begun. It's happening in all different pieces.
But it's endless. It's perpetual.
It's perpetual as long as they keep perpetuating the same kind of foreign policy. Here, listen to the President of the United States, who I believe, and you know my motto, think for yourself. I don't tell anybody what to think.
Right.
To me, was Eisenhower. You know, this is a five-star general, the supreme commander of the Allied forces during World War II.
Right.
A guy that really saw death and destruction up close and firsthand.
Yep.
And he warns the American people that the military-industrial complex is taking over the nation. This isn't some lefty pinko. Again, this is Eisenhower.
Yeah.
And what else? And think of this, Steve.
Okay.
Under Eisenhower, there were no major wars.
That's true. He stopped the Korean War.
That's right.
Well, that's a good point because
the guys that fight know. These are these people, as I look at them. Again, you know, only the way I see it. These are sociopaths and psychopaths. They're doing things without understanding what the consequences of their actions will be. And we could talk about war. We could talk about the economy. We could talk about education. We could talk about health care. You point out, you show me one success that Washington could put its imprimatur on and say, look at the great job we did. Look, we delivered exactly what we promised.
Right.
Could you show me any?
No, I can't see really any good that's come out of this with the thousands of Americans killed and maimed. I don't know why we're in Afghanistan anymore. I mean, not that I'm a total pacifist. I believe in defending America, but I don't even know why we're there anymore. I mean, their troops that we've trained are turning on us. When we go out on patrols, we've had to stop that because they're turning on us and shooting us.
And I wonder why. Couldn't be, again, as I said, could you imagine if the United States was invaded by a foreign power for whatever reason? And by the way, to me, you know, if another country came in and they say we're coming in to get rid of the Washington tyrants that have robbed the people of their constitutional rights, you know, hey, you know what? They have robbed us of our constitutional rights. But guess what? That doesn't give you a right to come in here and invade.
No, it's a totally different lifestyle, totally different religion, and so it's kind of what triggered September 11th was just anger back at us, right?
Hey, Steve, I wrote about this before it happened.
I know you did.
It's in my book, Trends 2000, that I wrote in 1995. In the TrendsJournal, I coined the term Crusades 2000. I warned of terrorism hitting the United States by the year 2000. USA Today ran the headline on December 14th, 2000, 2001 won't be our year. TrendsSeer says, I warned that Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad, and the reason was foreign policy. It's foreign that anyone would call this policy, and it's destroying our nation. And for me, it's you want to simmer this thing down, close up the bases, bring the troops home. There's a lot of work to be done on the home front. Defend the home front, close the borders, and let's rebuild the infrastructure with these men and women that are losing their lives. Today in the Trends in the News feature that we do for our subscribers, I read the names of the 5 dead Americans this week from Afghanistan. You know, when one of the big guys die, like that ambassador from Libya,
right.
Boy, the president goes out, the Secretary of State goes out, live broadcast on TV. But when Jose Gonzalez or Tammy White or Freddie Smith gets killed, how come nobody shows up for them?
No, you're right. He didn't do enough for the ambassador, in most people's opinion. He didn't really do enough.
But I'm just saying, look at the ceremony that they had when they brought back the bodies. They don't even report the dead Americans anymore that are getting killed every week. And by the way, the media is also soft-selling it. You know what they are? It's not American troops that are killed when you read the headlines, or not even the headlines. They don't make it to the front page anymore. It's NATO troops.
NATO troops, yeah. I've seen that. They're talking more and more about NATO troops, but isn't that a small percentage of the total number?
Oh, it's a tiny number. They're Americans that are getting killed.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying. To me, what I find so despicable, that here when an ambassador gets killed, the president and secretary of state show up, an honor guard of 30-something people, all the high military brass, and oh, how sorry they are that he's dead. But when our soldiers get killed, they don't even show the coffins on TV.
All right, let's talk about something as this began. let's talk about the fact that you were saying, what we originally did is we propped up all these dictators. We gave them billions of dollars a year, and as long as they towed the mark and did pretty much what we wanted within certain limitations. And then starting with President Bush, we started Bush 41, we started to topple them, starting with Saddam Hussein. And then Obama came in here, and we toppled a couple more. We toppled Gaddafi, for example. So this toppling the dictators that we have supported over the years really hasn't worked very well, has it?
Well, that's exactly what Dr. Paul Craig Roberts wrote about.
Yeah.
And it's destroying our nation. And by the way, again, only speaking for myself, I find this to be immoral. You're killing people for fake reasons. And I'm no pacifist. I'm a close combat martial artist.
I know.
I'm not a pacifist. But if somebody doesn't bother me, I don't bother them. One of the first things I learned, the site, by the way, is attackproof.com. I was taught by John Perkins. The first things he taught us, you don't go into a redneck bar.
Yeah.
You don't go into a foreign country.
Those are the two comparisons, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
You stay away. You don't have any business being there.
Yeah, but if you're a black belt, you get no worries, right?
No. You stay away. You don't look for trouble. You never know.
Well, I never bring a knife to a gunfight, that's for sure.
Well, there you go. So you stay away. And we have no business being there. Their policies have brought us nothing but failure. Oh, and by the way, I would like to see war crime tribunals. I want to know who knew what when they told us that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. If I could get called up on questioning for things, why can't they? Well, I'm not saying anybody's guilty, because after all, the United States is killing people that they suspect as militants. Well, if they suspect them as militants and they're killing them, I say as an American citizen, I want to know what Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Powell, Rice, and all the rest knew that they weren't telling us when they told us that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and that the next mushroom cloud you see...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to know who knew what when, because they've killed, 1 million Iraqis, cost us $1 trillion, 5,000 plus soldiers, and lives of how many countless hundreds of thousands of our men and women ruined, and their families. So why do they get a free ride on this? Why is justice just for us and not them? J-U-S-T-U-S. That's justice.
Well, you're right. It doesn't seem to be a matter much who's in office, does it? It doesn't seem to matter much who the president is. It seems to be the same destructive policies swinging from one to another.
Does it matter if the Bananos or the Gambinos are running the crime family?
You've always said that. I mean, I don't believe that's 100% true.
I look at it, again, we just went over a whole litany of immorality, as I see it. And again, as the facts go, suspected militants, this is extrajudicial killings. It's against the Geneva Conventions. I'm not making that up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're not torturing people anymore. Oh, they're not. It's not torture. That's enhanced interrogation. Come on.
Yeah. Well, there's some things we can talk about on the air and some things we can't. I mean, I talked about once about what brought a particular jet down, really, and killed all the people, and I got a call from the FBI that ordering me not to talk about that anymore on the air. So I'm surprised you haven't been shut down a little bit. You never get any calls or letters from the FBI?
No.
No? Oh, that's freedom in America. That's pretty good stuff.
That's great. That's why I'm here. That's why I love this country. And I don't want them taking it away from me.
No, exactly. We're going to talk to Gerald Celente more about this tomorrow, folks. TrendsResearch.com is the place to go and subscribe. You're going to be a happy camper